Zephyra Voss sat in the holding pen, her legs dangling from the metal bench like a child's, while the towering Krexthali guards chittered their amusement through mandible clicks. "Look at the tiny pink thing," Guard Prime thought Callie wheezed, his carapace shimmering with what passed for laughter among his species. The combat registry must be desperate for entertainment if they're accepting Deathworlders now. The other guards joined in, their compound eyes glittering as they observed the human female who barely reached their thorax segments, her simple gray jumpsuit making her appear even more insignificant against their gleaming chitinous armor. The Gladiatorial Commission of Vexnari had seen countless species enter their prestigious arena system over the past 3 centuries, but none quite so underwhelming as the humans who'd recently petitioned for inclusion. Commissioner Yith Naylor, a distinguished hegemony counselor whose purple crystalline form pulsed with bureaucratic authority, had initially rejected their application outright. Bipedal mammals from a Class 7 world? He'd scoffed to his aide, the chitinous sound echoing through his office crystals. Their bone density readings are pathetic, their muscle mass negligible, and they lack any natural weapons whatsoever. It would be slaughter. But the betting syndicates had insisted. Apparently, there was considerable wagering interest in watching the soft ones get pulverized for comedic effect. Arena Master Grexvom had personally overseen Zephyra's preliminary assessment, his 6 eyes scanning the bio-readings with mounting disbelief. Cardiovascular efficiency, adequate. Reaction time, marginally acceptable. Combat experience, 0 documented wins against any recognized galactic species. He turned to his assistant, a nervous Flathani whose whiskers twitched constantly. "Are we certain this isn't some elaborate practical joke from the Terran Diplomatic Corps? Perhaps they're testing our sense of humor." The preliminary matches had been scheduled as warm-up entertainment, something to amuse the crowd before the real champions took the field. Even the lowest-tier opponents had been deemed potentially lethal to the human specimen. Zephyra's assigned opponent for the opening bout was Grixtal the Bone Render, a mid-level Vorthack fighter whose species resembled anthropomorphic sharks with titanium-plated hide. "This is embarrassing," Grixtal had complained to the arena staff, his rows of serrated teeth clicking in agitation. "I am a 3-time sector champion. My last opponent was a siege-class mollusk warrior. Now they expect me to, what? Step on this tiny creature? The crowd will think I've lost my edge." But the arena master had been clear. Put on a show. Make it last at least 5 minutes for the entertainment value. Then finish it cleanly. The human's death would serve as a cautionary tale about the dangers of challenging one's evolutionary superiors. When the arena doors opened and Zephyra stepped onto the sand, something shifted in her demeanor that the alien observers initially missed. Her previously nervous fidgeting ceased entirely, replaced by a fluid scan of her environment that cataloged sight lines, weapon positions, and structural weak points in under 3 seconds. The crowd's derisive laughter grew louder as she picked up a simple metal staff from the weapon rack, seemingly at random. "Look, it doesn't even know how to hold it properly," came a shout from the premium seating section, where wealthy hegemony officials had gathered to witness the spectacle. But Zephyra's grip adjustment was subtle, a minor rotation that optimized leverage and striking angles in ways that wouldn't be apparent until the weapon was in motion. Grixtal charged with the confidence of someone who'd never lost a prey that didn't outweigh him by at least 50 kilograms, his massive form thundering across the arena floor with predatory grace. Zephyra didn't dodge, she sidestepped, a movement so minimal it seemed almost accidental, causing the Vorthack's momentum to carry him into the arena wall with a resonating crash. "Interesting," muttered Dr. Vexshari, the arena's chief medical officer, whose sensor arrays had detected something unusual in the human's bio-readings. "Her stress hormones aren't spiking, they're actually decreasing. And her neural activity patterns." He paused, checking his instruments twice. "This is unprecedented. She's becoming more focused under pressure, not less." The second exchange revealed something even more peculiar to those few observers paying close attention. Grixtal's follow-up attack, a textbook Vorthack hunting pattern that had served his species for millennia, was countered by a series of movements that seemed to anticipate his actions before he'd fully committed to them. Zephyra's metal staff connected with specific nerve clusters along his armored hide, causing temporary paralysis in his left arm. "That's not possible," whispered combat analyst Kex Thurn to his recording devices. "Those pressure points aren't even documented in our Vorthack anatomical databases. How does a species with no prior contact knowledge know our fighters' vulnerabilities better than we do?" The crowd's laughter was beginning to fade, replaced by confused murmuring as they watched their supposed entertainment become uncomfortably one-sided. By the fourth minute of combat, Grixtal was moving defensively for the first time in his professional career, his previous swagger replaced by the cautious circling of a predator who'd suddenly realized he might be prey. Zephyra had transitioned from reactive defense to active offense, her movements becoming more aggressive with each exchange. "She's learning," Arena Master Grexvom observed with growing alarm, his multiple eyes tracking her adaptation in real time. Every attack he makes, every defensive posture, she's incorporating the data and adjusting her strategy accordingly. The rate of improvement is exponential. The human female had started the match as barely competent with her chosen weapon. Now she was wielding it with a precision that suggested years of training she couldn't possibly have received. The turning point came when Grixtal attempted his signature finishing move, a spinning tackle that had ended dozens of previous matches in spectacular fashion. Zephyra's response was to leap directly toward him, using his own momentum to vault over his attack while simultaneously driving her staff down into the base of his skull with surgical precision. The Vorthack collapsed instantly, his nervous system overwhelmed by the perfectly placed strike. "Medical emergency in the arena," Dr. Vekshari announced over the communication system, though his voice carried more fascination than concern. The human appears to have induced temporary catatonia through targeted neural disruption. The technique is unknown to our medical databases, but remarkably sophisticated. The crowd had fallen completely silent, processing what they just witnessed. Arena Master Grexvom found himself in the unprecedented position of having to explain to Commissioner Yithnailer how their joke entertainment had just systematically dismantled a ranked gladiator using techniques that shouldn't exist in their databases. "Sir, I believe we've made a fundamental error in our assessment of human capabilities," he reported over the secured channel, his voice betraying unprecedented uncertainty. The creature, the human female, she didn't just win. She demonstrated tactical analysis, pattern recognition, and combat adaptation that suggests their species possesses cognitive advantages we failed to detect during preliminary screening. Our entire evaluation framework may be inadequate. Commissioner Yithnailer's crystalline form flickered with what could only be described as digital panic as he reviewed the match recordings. The revelation came not from Zephyra's victory, but from her post-match interview with Arena Chronicler Hexmani, whose job was typically to record final words from defeated challengers before medical intervention. "Tell me, human," the chronicler asked, genuinely curious, "how did you know to target those specific neural pathways? Our medical knowledge suggests such precision should be impossible without years of study." Zephyra's response was delivered with the casual tone of someone discussing the weather. "Oh, that? Your boy Grixtal telegraphed his entire nervous system through micro-expressions and movement patterns. Plus, your arena's combat footage is publicly available. I watched about 6 hours of Vorthack matches during the shuttle flight here. Pattern recognition is kind of our thing. The implications of casual strategic analysis conducted during routine transport began to dawn on the alien observers. Pattern recognition is kind of our thing. The phrase would be repeated in Galactic combat analysis seminars for decades afterward, as xenobiologists struggled to understand how a species could develop such sophisticated tactical capabilities without corresponding physical advantages. Dr. Vekshari's post-match report to the Hegemony Science Council contained a single paragraph that changed everything. Subject demonstrates unprecedented real-time learning capability, suggesting human neural architecture evolved under conditions requiring constant adaptation to novel threats. Recommend immediate reclassification of Terran combat potential from negligible to requires further study. Preliminary data suggests their homeworld's environmental conditions may have produced cognitive advantages that our standard evaluation protocols are not equipped to detect or measure. The Arena Commission's request for additional human fighters was approved within hours. As Zephyra walked toward the exit tunnel, she paused at the medical station where Grixtal was recovering from his induced catatonia, his massive form looking diminished on the treatment table. "Hey, big guy," she said cheerfully, offering him a nutrient pack from her personal supplies. "No hard feelings, right? You fight well, just need to work on telegraphing your intentions less. Maybe try varying your attack patterns more." The Vorthack warrior's response was a mix of gratitude and existential confusion as he processed tactical advice from someone he'd initially dismissed as an inferior life form. Commissioner Naylor, monitoring the interaction through security feeds, made a note to revise the hegemony's first contact protocols to include provisions for species whose capabilities might exceed initial assessments by several orders of magnitude. The betting syndicates paid out 47,000 to 1 odds to the 3 beings who'd wagered on Zephyra's victory, though none of them could adequately explain their decision-making process to the Galactic Gaming Commission's fraud investigators. Arena Master Grexvom submitted his resignation that evening, citing fundamental reassessment of professional competencies as his reason for leaving. Commissioner Naylor's final report to the Hegemony Council contained a single recommendation that would reshape galactic diplomatic policy, suggest immediate establishment of formal relations with Earth's governing bodies. The humans appear to possess capabilities that our current threat assessment models cannot adequately quantify. We may have been approaching this relationship from the wrong perspective entirely. Meanwhile, Zephyra was already reviewing footage of the next day's matches, her lips curved in the predatory smile of someone who'd found her calling in the most unexpected place.